I've owned 26 different metal detectors in my life, and I still have 6 of my favorites, but this is the broken bounty hunter detector that started it all. As a teenager in the early 70s, I already had the history bug. I was fascinated with archaeology or anything pertaining to history. I loved to hunt arrowheads, and it seemed like I was always looking for something, out on an adventure, just exploring anything I could do, looking for fossils, whatever. Most of what I've learned over the years was because I question everything I don't understand. When I was around 12 or 13 years old, one of my friends, who was 5 years older than me, had lost his class ring while we were playing football one day with a bunch of our friends. Well, we spent a lot of time looking for it, but never did find it. The weeds were pretty high and stuff, so we just figured we'd stomp it in the ground or something. Well, my friend's dad had built a metal detector from a Heath kit, and that evening we all went back to look for the ring. Well, one of my cousins and I tagged along with his dad and him, and for some reason they kept a hoe close to the coil, and it constantly interfered with the signal. I never understood why. Of course, they didn't find the ring, and that was the first time I ever saw a metal detector in use. Well, not long after that, my uncle gave me this bounty hunter detector, and my early excitement quickly died when I realized that it didn't work. I tinkered with it off and on for a while, but never got more than an occasional beep out of it. But it gave me the bug. I wanted one so badly, but didn't have any idea where or how I could get one. So I just dreamed about having one someday and went on about my exploring. Well, in the early 70s, I borrowed a White's Coinmaster detector for one weekend, and here's a Riker case of what I found. I was completely hooked, but after some research, there was no way I could afford a good machine, so I put that dream on the back burner. Decades went by, and a whole lot of new detectors came on the scene. Well, in 1999, I finally bought a Garrett GTI 2500 metal detector on credit. One of my musician friends had bought one and convinced me to get one so we could hunt together. Well, he quit detecting before mine arrived. He gave up, but I didn't. Well, my persistence paid off. By the end of my first year detecting, I had found enough modern coins not only to pay for my Garrett detector, but I was able to buy a new one just like it as a backup. One day I stopped at an office of a local state park to see what the rules were as far as metal detecting on the beach, and found that I needed a permit. It seemed like every time I drove by that beach during the closed season, people were there metal detecting. Well, I bought a permit and joined the other 6 people who were already there detecting that day. It was a very small beach, and I could tell from the tracks and the many holes that I was hunting behind the pack. I didn't expect to find anything. Almost immediately, I got a very faint occasional signal that rang up high like a large silver coin or a deep pop can. I started digging with my homemade hunting knife, and after about 8 or so inches, the water started coming in. I was at the water level. Well, I still got a faint signal, but it was a little stronger. Down at about 16 inches, I came up with a 1942 Walking Liberty $50. I was very surprised, actually shocked. Then I got another signal only a few inches away. This time it was a 1950 Franklin $50. Well, I went back to my Jeep and got a little plastic scoop that I carried around with me and stuff just in case I needed it, hoping I could dig in the sand a little better. About a foot away when I found the other 2, I got another faint signal. This time it was a 1939 Walking Liberty $50. 3 silver $50 in a row. I continued on and found several Mercury dimes and silver Roosevelt dimes, and even a couple Buffalo nickels. The other 6 people still detected, so I figured that they had bags full of coins by now. I finally caught up with when they showed me their finds. They each had a few modern coins and a lot of pull tabs, etc., but no silver or nothing valuable. I didn't tell them what I'd found, so as not to discourage any of them, but I also didn't want to encourage them to come back. It's been a lifelong adventure, from that broken bounty hunter to a museum full of Civil War relics and hundreds of arrowheads, and I've documented it all. I'm currently putting together a series on a local arrowhead collection that just blows my mind, and it's going to be something special in quite a few videos. But right now I'm just getting back to the basics. What was your broken detector moment, or how did you get started metal detecting? Leave me a comment and I'll make sure I read every one of them and answer every one of them. See you on the next one.